All right, this one's gonna be quick and dirty, ladies and gentlemen. I just picked up a 3080 Ti FE to kind of fill out my FE collection because in the future I'm vain and I'm going to make an all FE rig. So 3060 Ti, 3070, 3070 Ti, 3080, 3080 Ti, 3090, and ideally a 3090 Ti if I can find one for a reasonable price. I was missing this card. However, you'll notice below it I have a Gigabyte, I think it's an Eagle 3080 Ti, and I have a 3080 Ti FTW3 EVGA card. These don't belong to me, I just picked them up for friends at the same time, but they said, bin them. You won't. And if you say that sort of thing to me, of course I'm going to go ahead and do it. So I'm going to put them on the test bench right now, and we're going to see which of these three random 3080 Ti's is actually the best binned for core and memory. Because why not? And just like that, we are loaded up. Flap on the power supply, and let's get into Hive as soon as it actually boots. And we'll see how these perform. Well, I'm starting with memory hard. This is Ethereum Classic, and we see the FTW is definitely the best with memory so far. Drawing, if power is to be believed, which it might not be. Generally speaking, the triple 8-pin cards don't report correctly. 30 watts less. I'm stepping up the memory slowly but surely. I'm going to try to get this up to closer to 120 megahash, but we'll see which one has the best memory bin, and then we will move over to a core algorithm. Well, I didn't go too crazy. I started with Ethereum Classic just to see how these would do with memory binning. And as you would expect, the FTW3 is the clear winner. However, the Gigabyte's actually pretty impressive, especially with memory temperatures. Wattage isn't quite as good, and the FE is kind of in the middle. So you can see here, we've got the Gigabyte on the bottom, we've got the FTW3 in the middle, and we've got the FE on the top. The core clock is not actually coming up in the miner on the FE, so I'm not sure what's going on there. If we're already starting to get memory throttling. I do have the auto fan set, but it's not responding correctly, so anyway, you can get a decent idea there. You see the power draw is unusually low on the FTW3. My experience, all these 3000 series FTW cards with the triple 8-pin report software power incorrectly, so I don't think that's an accurate power reading for the FTW, but I think the other two are fairly accurate, so this is what it is. Let's move on to a core algo. So for core algos, looks like I still don't know if I trust the power readings in the FTW, but that's dead in line with what I would expect. But it looks like the core on the FE is actually really quite good. I'll probably try Flux too, just to get something in there that's kind of leveraging both just a little bit. This is set to 1410 core, 150 offset, 810 mem, just for the record. And to finalize it, there we have it. So the FTW3 is definitely the best card, core and memory. Looks like the FE is second best, and the Gigabyte is third best. So this is a fairly underwhelming core in it and a mediocre memory bin. It's a fine card. There's really nothing wrong with it. Cooling's actually pretty good. Cooling's really bad on the FE. Pretty good core, mediocre memory. Good and good. That was not worth my time. Hello everybody. This is a rig I don't think I've even covered on the channel. I think I assembled this and put it to work before I was really even doing any sort of recap videos for crypto. But this is my big boy GA102, and it also has TU102 as well. Crypto rig. I've been using it as a off-peak heater at a rental property that is in my family. This thing is comprised of two 3090s, two 3080 Ti's, three 3080s, and a 2080 Ti. It has a 1200 titanium and a 1200 P2 on it. It's got a B75 8 GPU motherboard on it, and it's all bolted to a 16 GPU frame. This thing has been insanely reliable, running 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. for the last 9 months. The reason why that's worth it to me is because I don't currently pay the power up here, because this actually saves the homeowner money because their controllers for their off-peak heaters, which are all electric, are broken. So anyway, now that heat is a little bit less desirable, I brought up a Vitretu mining case with 8 CiMP 50HXs in it, installed a new 20 amp 240 volt mining circuit right here with a breaker and everything, and I have it all set up so none of the renters can fully close the door. I tested it, and even like that, the temperatures are very good, but I leave it just a little bit more open. Anyway, I digress. So the cards are all coming home with me today. I do have all the boxes for them here, so I'm gonna get to it. Let's rip this thing down. Looks so sad. Well, here we are, 2080 Ti. Actually, that's a launch day card that I think my roommate bought. The two $350 3080 Dells. This is my golden sample 3080 FE. I bought this at a Best Buy. Unfortunately, it looks like I've damaged it. 3080 Ti, this was a Hawk Crypto card. 3080 Ti Hawk Crypto 3090 with heat sinks added to it. Hawk Crypto. Another 3090, I bought this from a friend of mine, and yeah, that's everything. So just have to box them up, tidy everything up, throw it in the car, and we're all headed home. I'm looking forward to using most of these, hopefully for proof of useful work. I don't have much internet bandwidth, but I've got 2 more 3090 FEs at home, so I feel like jamming a lot of these inside Threadrippers. Maybe I'll do well? I'm not sure. We'll just have to see when the benchmark tool finally launches. Well, everything has at least a box, even if it's not right, except for the Dells, which are just dirty slut cards anyway. Oh man, this is a big frame. It was really, really nice for airflow, but fitting this in the car certainly cuts down on my luggage space. Well, I didn't have the heart to leave these things off. We're back home safe and sound. The 280 Ti's I actually kept out because I believe those are going to be going to GPU risers for a trade, but I had 2 more 90 FEs that I picked up from a friend locally. So yeah, man, we're in pretty good shape. This little garage farm here is pretty solid, but I am pretty much maxed out on the 2 circuits that I have run. I've got a 20 amp PDU and I've got a 30 amp, but the 30 amp is not metered and it has 2 separate 20 amp banks. And I'm kind of doing the calcs on them right now. I know what the rigs draw and I know what the delta is between this metered PDU and the total panel, so I can kind of figure out what's there. Right now I'm at 17 on this 20 amp, which isn't ideal, but this thing is running through a very, very thick cable. And it runs to a 50 amp outlet, so I'm really not worried about that. I'm going to see how the temperatures go as we go throughout the day here. I'm a little bit concerned that the one fan that I've got in here won't be enough to keep these things cool, especially as we start to get warm this weekend, but I'll keep an eye on it, and yeah, we'll see if adding 8 big boy GA102s, well 7 plus the TU102, makes a big enough difference. I hear bad things happening. I think we just rebooted. Uh-oh. Okay, the noise I heard was the 2080 Ti getting way too hot. So I pulled it out, put it back in a server case in my basement, and in its place, I put in a 3080 Ti FE, and I put all of these on Caspa for right now. The ambient in my garage is like 109. I don't think there's really much I can do about it, so at least I can run them with something. And since I can't really do anything about the temperatures of that rig, let's build another one. I've got a stack of 8 3060 Ti references and 8 CiMP 50HXs, but this board, the Asus Mining Expert, can handle, in my experience, without any problem, 14 30 series cards. So I'm going to stab on another 3060 Ti, non-FE, and a 3070 to this thing too, and we'll see if we can get it running. So I'm going to be using a 1600 T2 as my primary, and I'm going to be using a 1200 watt Platinum server power supply, as the secondary. I've had pretty good luck triggering these with the wake alarm command, so fingers crossed. I am planning to use one 6-pin strand per riser, one 6-pin strand per card on the secondary, and kind of go overboard on the primaries as well, just in case. This is a map of the ports on the Mining Expert and how they show up in order in HiveOS. There's a little bit of uncertainty here, however, it's accurate to what I did, and all 14 cards do show up in that order. So I labeled all 14 of the cables on both ends just so I could keep better track of it. And starting with the 3060 Ti's on the first layer, because they do have a little bit better coolers and they will run a little bit lower wattage. Piling that in, you can see the Dell 3060 Ti that I put on the right side there. It's actually an oddly good card, Samsung memory, decent cooler. And then you can see the CiMP 50HXs. The only thing I ended up changing around is I put the 3070 on the left side of the upper when I actually brought it out to the garage. The blower was fine, but sucking hot air off of the CiMP wasn't great, and it's been totally perfect since I switched everything around. But yeah, it fired right up, no problem, and I've been doing wake alarm on this rig for about a month now, and it comes up perfectly, so really happy with it. I haven't tried more than 14 cards because this is a 12 card frame, but figure may as well document it. It's kind of a cool looking rig, so nothing wrong with being proud of it, right?